Hello everyone. This is the 11th part of the story, Percy Jackson, the God of Magic. Chapter 51. As soon as my agonizingly long fall to Tartarus ended, I knew I had downplayed this place. The moment I took my first breath I felt my lungs burn, the air was acid, and to top that shit, the ground was made out of broken glass able to pierce through anything apparently. So here I was, on the ground coughing blood, thanks to the air, and with my feet and knees bleeding. Oh God, I gasped, focusing my mana on my lungs and feet, making the acid air, and the broken glass floor more manageable. Now having a better handle of myself, I looked around, noticing the place had a grayish atmosphere made entirely out of living mana that made me feel someone was watching me. Or at least could watch me if he or she wanted to, someone leagues above Kronos. I knew who it was, but the idea of even thinking his name and the fact it could bring his attention to me was more than enough to silence my thoughts. Trying my best shot, I tried to teleport myself out of the realm with my mnemonic magic, but as I expected it didn't work. Then I tried to see if the chapter of curses and dark arts had anything to help me out, and nothing, no easy way out. It seems I'm stuck here, I chucked, blood dripping out of my mouth, but don't worry. Adam, Hestia, Hades, Artemis or Apollo will get you out. I had faith they would help me out, gods could after all put and take out prisoners from Tartarus. But in the meantime, I had to focus on surviving and on the way trying to find a way to escape. Right now I had to adapt to the environment. If I were to fight feeling like someone is melting my lungs, I would die. I opened the book once again, giving it one last good look, before I embarked on my most dangerous journey so far. My eyes stopping on the soul-related spells I had previously seen on the book, spells I had personally blacklisted. The spells were disgusting in essence, consuming souls to gain power. Spells straight from Dark Souls universe and other dark worlds. Spells I never wanted to use, spells that went against what I stood for, but could I really keep my morals here? The place monsters roamed free, did I really have the strength to keep my morals intact, or would I be forced to do it? I will deal with that when the time comes, I muttered to myself in a low emotionless chuckle. Hestia point of view. I felt as Adam was ripped from this realm. I felt as his connection to me was forcibly broken, and I couldn't do anything. There was only one possible explanation, some way Adam had fallen to the darkness pit in the world. Tartarus. I immediately went to my brother, Zeus. He could help him, he had the power to bring Adam out of that wretched realm. But what I found shocked me. Zeus was talking with Luke Castellan, the son of Hermes. Luke was telling him how he found out Adam was working with Kronos in secret, and that he had tried to send Luke and everyone in the camp to Tartarus once Luke confronted him with a Tartarus crystal. That was a lie. He was a liar. I knew Adam wasn't a bad kid, I knew it. He was caring, friendly, loving, he was my friend. He is lying. I growled, fire burning the palace down. Anger didn't even begin to describe what I was feeling. Where is Apollo? Nobody could lie to him. I'm here, Apollo muttered, his face contorted in pain. He isn't lying, no. I don't believe it, some way, somehow. Luke had managed to circumvent Apollo's power. I would not believe Adam betrayed me until he told me that himself. Adam is not what we thought. It's the true, luckily Luke here managed to stop him, Zeus said, trying to be soothing. I don't believe any of this. I said trembling, I curse you Luke Castellan. I curse you to never feel at home, to never feel full after a meal, I curse you to never feel warm. Hestia the first Olympian kick you out the hearth. Hestia. Hermes growled, remove the curses or. I don't like fighting Hermes, you know I love you too much for that, nephew, but I won't back down. I stated Adam was my friend, the first person that actually cared to talk to me, because of me. Hestia, I know you are suffering, but, Zeus started but I glared at him, making him flinch back a bit. He is no longer welcomed in my realm, I stated, glaring at Luke, who was shaking behind his father. I won't kill you. I can't. I am unfortunately too kind for that, but when I find a way to clear Adam's name, and believe me, I will. I will let him kill you. Mark my words, child, you made an enemy today. Adam point of view, 1 Tartarus month later. I was crying. For the first time in years I was actually crying. Everything here hurt, even with Mana protecting me, breathing, walking, the water, even the food, everything was a new way to feel pain. I missed Hestia. I missed my once prison, now warm and loving cabin. I missed feeling healthy. This was worse than when I was sick back in my old life. It had been but a month, and I wasn't sure what to do, nor if I would be rescued before I went mad. Time in Tartarus was different, it flowed differently. A day here could be a second in the realm world, or a second here could be a month outside. How pathetic, I coughed, blood splattering everywhere as I struggled to keep walking. I had learned the first week that staying too much in one place was a bad idea. I almost died fighting a horde of monsters. I had everything I wanted, a healthy body, friends, and now, I have what I had, on steroids. I laughed. This unfortunately made me puke a large amount of blood. This version of Tartarus sure wasn't like the one I read Percy and Annabeth endured. I was stronger than them, and I was looking like a soon-to-be dead guy. Perhaps, using those spells wouldn't be so bad. At this point I would do anything to alleviate the pain, and besides, none of the souls here are souls people will remember or care about anyway. So perhaps, just perhaps, it wouldn't be a bad choice. Tartarus time, 1 minute in the real world equals a month in Tartarus. Chapter 52. 2 months. Tartarus was worse than I thought, worse than I could have prepared for. The books did not do this hellish nightmare any justice. The pain that I feel, or rather that I felt before, was overwhelming. And even now that I had adjusted to this harsh and cruel environment with my dark magic, I could still feel my body suffering in silent agony. Soul consumption, it was a spell that allowed me to become stronger, in exchange for a soul, a simple yet disgusting transaction. Consuming a soul was terrible, both for the poor soul and the consumer. You can feel their agony as what makes them, well, them, disappear inside of you. For a brief moment, you can see everything they have seen, and then, nothing, just a cold feeling. It was a truly terrifying spell. One that I had been forced to use to survive. I wanted to survive, at any cost, and as a bonus objective, I wanted to kill Luke, so my morals were out the window for now. So I did what I had to do to survive. I started to consume the souls of the monsters lurking around, and by monsters, I didn't mean things like the Minotaur, or the likes. No, I meant people. Humans so bad that they had been sentenced to live for all eternity inside the worst realm in existence. I'm not gonna lie, the first time I consumed a living soul, from a human living in Tartarus, it haunted me. The cries of despair of the humans, the tears while they begged for their lives. It was something I was not mentally prepared to deal with. I knew they were bad, and the reason they were here in the first place was that they were the worst of the worst, but it still was a hard situation to deal with. But everything must come to an end, and so did my caring, day by day. Their screams and tears started to bother me less and less, to the point I simply stopped considering them humans. For me, they were prey now. They were what kept me alive in this hellish realm, and I would be damned if I didn't survive. As for the pain, it was still there. No matter how many hundreds of humans I consumed, the pain would always remain. But it was tolerable now. It kind of felt like I was back to my old body now, not worse, so I suppose it's an improvement. The Devourer. A man shouted, his eyes widened in terror. If only he had kept his mouth shut, I would have passed right past him. Boo, I yawned, as aimed my hand at him, glowing with a green almost black color, and shot a blast of mana that destroyed that man. Oh well, I sighed, pulling his soul to me. I then opened my mouth and swallowed the soul. and immediately after the disgusting sensation of despair the man was feeling as my power consumed him shocked me. But what shocked me the most was the new feelings that rushed through my body. This man knew who I was, that much I was able to gather, and his fear for me was overwhelming. Of course, it was I concluded for myself, these people, they all keep some hope they will be able to escape this realm, and I represent a true end, one that eats away their hope. What an ironic result, sinners now fear me, an innocent man in Tartarus, even I can see the cruel irony there, the joke is poetic, I laughed, not sure if there was any emotion behind it, but I laughed. 6 months. How long have I been here? 6 months, at this pace I will end up devouring every human soul inside this realm. Is Hestia even trying to help me? Or was I simply another mere moment in the life of a goddess? Oh, well, look at the bright side, was there any? Yeah, I'm still alive, death would be mercy now. No, dying would be the easy way out. I have the tools to survive, and I will survive, I declared as if I was having a conversation with someone. Well, I was. With my inner pessimistic self, who had lost hope in being rescued, I have become stronger than ever, so there is that. Smile, Adam, just smile, I reminded myself, as long as I smiled. As long as I lied to myself, I would have a reason to keep going. I turned around to see my friend the Minotaur had found me once again. No matter how many times I killed him, he would come back to fight me. I will end you, and yes, he could talk. I was surprised too, who would have guessed the big sirloin could talk? Must we do this? I asked him, my eyes narrowed at him. I have killed you 78 times, at one point it should get boring, at least for me it did. I could have consumed his essence. The spell worked on him too, but for some reason, I just never did it, with any monster for that matter. With a growl, the ferocious Minotaur charged at me in blind rage, thrashing anything in his wake with his might. I hope you taste as good as a steak. I sighed, and with a simple move of my hand, I bound the monster to the ground. If you were more attentive you would have known that thanks the thousands of souls I have consumed my magic can easily subdue you. I tapped his forehead with a slight smirk forming on my face. But I suppose you got the brains from your father, I laughed, killing the beast with a swing of my sword, one that I had found in this wretched realm. I then proceeded to consume my first monster, and it was worse than with humans. The Minotaur was rage incarnated, and I could feel him even to his bitter end trying to fight. It felt like I had swallowed lava. 1 year. Consuming monsters was systematically better than consuming sinners. They had more power, more raw material to work with. So since the day I ate Mr. Sirloin, I started to hunt monsters and sinners alike. Funny thing is that as much power as I was getting, the gap between me and some of the titans I had briefly felt was basically the same, which terrified me to no end. If any of them captured me, Kronos would make me suffer for all eternity. Food. I stopped dead on my tracks. Right now I was on my way to, well, nowhere. In particular, Tartarus was confusing as hell. But the point is I was walking, and a very familiar voice caught my attention. Food. Well, hello there. I smiled at the sight of the thing that almost killed me during my first mission. So glad to find you here. Food. The blind amalgamation screeched in mad delight, rushing at me. One of us is, I shot back, cutting her legs and arms with my sword. This time her movements were slow, painfully so. I wonder, how do you taste like? Food. No, monster, she was afraid. Good, devourer, no, no and no. In fear the monster tried to free itself from my grasp but failed to do so. You know food. You monster. Oh, I'm a monster? I chuckled, ripping her soul out. Never heard that one screamed to me today. Time in Tartarus equals 1 year. Real world equals 12 minutes. Chapter 53. Today was my birthday once again, yay, my 152 birthday. At this point I had lost all hope of anyone rescuing me, but at least I had recovered some of my old self. After devouring millions of souls, be it monsters or humans, I had ascended to a higher plane. I wasn't sure if I was a god, but the harsh environment of Tartarus didn't bother as much as it used to. I would kill for a homemade meal. I miss Hestia, I chuckled, wondering if she even remembered me. The winds outside my cave/house were harsh, almost howling, time to hunt. While I didn't have any hope on others rescuing me, I still had faith to this day I would find a way to escape this nightmare, and yes, I know it took Percy and Annabeth days to escape it, but now I knew the author didn't know how terrifyingly good was this place to keep its prisoners. Which mean there was
no
way in hell. Sushi Roll and Penny Beth managed to escape this in 9 days. Taking a deep breath, I stood up and walked out of the cave, catching my reflection on the edge of my blade. I had changed a lot. I was a good 6 feet and 6 inches tall. Surprising if you ask me. I thought I was going to be small. As for my clothes, I was wearing stuff I had made with my magic. Otherwise I would be naked. Which, contrary to most beliefs, makes fighting a bit harder. My face had changed a lot though. My eyes, they lacked something they once had, but if I had to describe myself, I would say my face had a well-defined jawline, a pair of pencil-thin lips, and a fairly masculine profile that had stayed the same for a long time. I had stopped aging after I turned 25 or something, so since that day not much had changed. Well, I suppose my eyes had changed that day. They went from brown to hazel, a weird change, but not important enough to investigate. Alright, let's see. I described my beautiful eyes, my face, oh my hair. I knew I missed something. My hair was still black and boy it looked good on me. It helped accentuating my features well. Oh, I almost forgot something very important. I have a 6-pack now. Heck.
Yeah.
What can I say? Training and exercising and eating monsters and human souls alike has given me a sleek, tight featherweight 6-pack. And above it, a well-defined chest. Not much to do down here, besides killing monsters and training, so results are expected. Oh well, I chuckled, nothing like admiring my sexiness before going on a hunt. I chuckled, before sheathing my blade. Knowing it would be a long day, years of hunting and eat monsters had given me a reputation down here. Monsters and sinners alike feared me and would avoid me at all costs, and I couldn't blame them. But that only left the impossible targets like the Titans, the Gigantes, and the Primordials out in the open, beings with enough strength to still trash me like a bitch if I took a wrong turn, and I was not ready for that. With a sigh, I shook my head and decided to focus on the matter at hand, but then I felt something. One of the big fishes was moving. I guess I won't find any souls today. I muttered, feeling that Hyperion, the Titan of the heavenly light, was on the move once again. He was my predator, you could say. Unfortunately for me, every predator has a predator. That's the natural order of things. Kronos had ordered Hyperion to capture me. At least I assumed as much, and like the good obedient bitch he is, he accepted. Unfortunately for him, I was very good at not being captured and killed, but unfortunately for me, hunting with that monster around was a big no. I almost got captured 20 years ago. And well, let's say reattaching an arm is not as painless as anime makes it seem, nor as easy. Oh well, I sighed, going back to the cave. Hestia point of view. I have never been in Tartarus, and well, needless to say it was a place even gods would avoid, but I had to rescue him, and for that reason, I had begged Hades to help me. At first he was reluctant. I knew he didn't want to believe Adam was a traitor, but Hades was so used to betrayal, to people backstabbing him, that he let himself for a brief moment believe Adam was fake. But I knew my little brother, and I knew it was bigger the part of him that believed in our friend, so at the end, it was easy to convince him. Persephone helped a lot in that, saying she never liked the little shit of Luke, to begin with. Do you really believe he's innocent? Hades asked. He sounded hurt at the prospect he opened himself to someone, and that someone might have used him. I know he isn't guilty, I declared. I believed in him, his words had to be honest, they had to. I refused to believe he tricked everyone. I refused to believe his smile was fake, I know it. Well, it wouldn't be the first time Zeus fucked up, Hades chuckled humorlessly. Very well, let's do this, if we are lucky. If he is lucky, the time dilatation curse in that realm will have not affected him. If it did, and was still alive when he arrived, there is no telling if we will find him alive or not. What do you mean? I asked, trembling at the idea that all we would find was his corpse. Well, each person lives Tartarus in their own way. For some, a second there will be a millennia here. For others, a second here will be a millennia there. It all depends on who's suffering, and what they fear the most, Hades stated, his lips forming a thin line in contemplation. So, in other terms, if Adam is affected by that curse, and he fears being alone, he will. I gasped. How long had I let him suffer there? How long? I just want you to know, there is a big chance we won't find him alive, Hades muttered. If the time curse affected him, there is a big chance that if he didn't die fighting the monsters around, he died of old age. But doesn't that curse only affect immortals? Persephone asked, tears forming on her green eyes. You told me that the curse was put there to make immortals suffer more. Yes, but if he entered Tartarus like I think he did, there is a big chance Kronos made it so rescuing him would be impossible, ergo putting a curse that would kill before anyone managed to clear his name, Hades clarified. I know he's alive, I would not stop believing in my champion. I couldn't. Then he didn't get the curse, Hades sighed. Even if he did, I know he's alive, I stated. Then that would mean Adam was a god, or somehow ascended inside that realm, Hades replied. Let's make haste. Every second we spend talking is time he is suffering there. Thanks for helping me, and for believing in me, I hugged him. Don't worry, Hades smiled, ruffling my hair. I would have come for him eventually, after my paranoia ceased. You simply pushed me to that faster, and besides, I know what it's like to be betrayed, and I know what Adam must be feeling right now, and no one deserves to feel like that. No one does, I nodded. Time spent on Tartarus, 140 years. Real world, 28 hours. Chapter 54. I awoke to the sound of Hyperion moving again, this time closer to my humble home, which meant it was time to move, once again. Fucking oversized simp, I muttered, hastily jumping out of the bed to gather my belongings, among them, my grimoire, my diary and my sword. My diary contained a detailed recap of what I had lived inside this hellish prison so far, from day one to today. It was a therapeutic way to deal with the horrors of this realm, horrors I would try to downplay to keep my sanity. No food, acid water, and everlasting nightmares. This place was designed to drive anyone inside insane, and to a point, I think the prison had done its job, and while I loved to tell myself I was not crazy, well, I now had a higher killer count than Hitler. I could feel their pain every time I closed my eyes, and at the same time I didn't care. I don't know how that made sense, but it was what it was. All right, I sighed, grabbing my stuff, running out of my cave. For what I could feel, Hyperion was close. Too close for my liking. I still had nightmares after our first brief encounter. He was too strong for me to handle. For now, I estimated I would be able to fight him in about 200 years or so if I continued to consume souls at the pace I was going, but for now, I had to run. As I ran through the grayish ground, I felt two strongly familiar presences approach in my direction, Hestia and Hades. Could it be? Had they come to break me out of here? No, remember. 85 years ago, Tartarus. I remembered that day, the day the nightmares started to take forms that could hurt me. I woke up to find Hestia, Artemis, Apollo, Hades, and Persephone in my home at the time. I was elated, and did what I had wanted to do for years, hugged them. They had come for me, but I soon discovered, Tartarus likes to give hope, so then it can later crush it. They were all fakes, illusions, tricks. This prison was used by taking information from my mind. Since that day, I have lost count of how many fake Hestias I have killed, how many fakes I have eliminated to keep my mind at ease. And the funny thing is, it pained me to do so. I wanted them to be real. I have to admit, this time, Tartarus is going all out for me. I whistled. Their presence felt real, more than the last attempts this prison had done to break me. Perhaps the punishments were simply evolving as I grew. This place was after created to break anyone, so it's only safe to assume it will stop at nothing to break me. I inwardly smiled as I ran through the volcanic wastelands, that one would think they were a landmark, but they are not. They just pop out whenever they feel like it. Anyway, I ran through the volcanic wastelands towards the fakes. If there was one thing I was not going to allow this fucking prison was to break me, at least not more than I already was. Boosting my already abnormally high speed with mana, I reached their location in a few seconds, where I stood above them, looking down from a cliff. "Hello there," I greeted, a somewhat cynic smile on my face. The fake lookalikes turned their gazes upon me, shocked. Well, that was new. Normally they would start trying to remind how much of a failure I was. "Adam." The Hades fake muttered in shock. I couldn't accept this insult to what I once loved, and still love. So I cut his already predictable speech about how I should give up with a violent mana blast. To my surprise, the fake deflected the attack with ease, his face showing concern. "I'm impressed. It seems this time behind this cruel illusion there is a real warrior," I chuckled. "Adam, how many have you killed?" Hades asked. "Fake, you couldn't possibly fathom the amount of dead bodies behind me," I replied darkly, jumping to the ground level. "Now, let's skip the chat where you tell I should kill myself, and go straight to the part 1 break you two apart," I snarled in disgust. "Adam." The fake Hestia cried. This only added salt to the injury. They felt so real. "I'm sorry." Hades muttered and moving faster than I could see, trying to punch me. These fakes were strong, stronger than me, but I was not going to leave until I killed them. No illusion would torture me. "No." Hestia screamed, grabbing Hades by the wrist and stopping his attack before it even reached me. "No. He has suffered enough." There they were again, her tears. "Remarkable," I laughed. I must admit this place sure know how to keep me on my toes. I didn't know why, but I found myself crying, tears falling down my cheeks. "Now, you will have to either I was stopped when I saw Hestia moving faster than I could possibly defend myself against. But instead of attacking me like I had expected, she hugged me. Her hug felt warm, protective, yet fierce and sad. "It's okay," Hestia whispered to my ear, her voice carrying more sadness than it should be allowed. How could they make her fake break out of character? She is supposed to always be happy. "I'm here," she added in a soothing tone. This is not fair," I cried. This was not fair, using her image. Why was this place doing this to me? This was not fair. "Everything will be all right," Hestia soothed. "I won't let you suffer down here anymore." Well, Tartarus had finally done it. Well done. It had broken me, tearing what little of resolve I had left. As I hugged what could be my end in tears, it seems I wasn't as strong as I thought I was. Chapter 55. I woke up to find Hades, Hestia and Persephone talking. Hestia was brushing my hair, like she would normally do in our movie nights. Was this real? It had to be. Besides, Adam, if this is fake, is better than the alternative. Remember the motto, always look to the bright side. So, sorry, was the first thing I said. I had, after all, attacked them, thinking they were fake. Hestia looked at me, smiling. "I'm sorry." Tear threatened to fall down her cheeks. I had no idea you would suffer this much. I wasn't really mad at her. Well, at one point I was, thinking they had all forsaken me, but how could I be mad at her? She's the nicest person I know, it's okay. I know there must be a reason why you guys didn't get me out sooner. Adam, that's the thing, since you left it has only been 25 hours, Hades sighed, nothing has changed. It has only been a day since you entered Tartarus. A day, 140 years. I assume from our violent encounter Tartarus was torturing you with illusions of us, right? Hades asked and I nodded, I thought as much, and sorry for trying to knock you out. In the end, all we needed was Hestia to hug you. Quite a lethal weapon she has there, he smiled, winking at me. Have you actually hugged her? I chuckled, it's like hugging a heater without burning, it's the best feeling ever. I do give the best hugs. Hestia proclaimed, puffing her chest out proudly. All right, not that I am not glad he's alive, but I will address the elephant in the room, is he or is he not a god? Persephone asked, and, well, it was a good question after consuming so many souls had my body changed to withstand my newfound power. How old are you now, Adam? 153, I muttered. No. He's not a demigod either, not anymore. Hades hummed, answering Persephone's question, pressing his lips into a thin line, he is somewhere between demigod and god. Kinda like in the middle. I knew I should have gone for a more fiber-oriented diet, I chuckled. That's another thing I wanted to ask, how many souls did you consume? Hades asked, his voice carrying a tone of doubt. I don't know. I stopped counting after the million, I answered, and both Hestia and Persephone gasped, as soon as I got to that place. My world rule was kill or be killed. I see, perhaps that was the catalyst to your slow metamorphosis into a god. Hades nodded, his arms crossed. I had no other option, I added, a weak smile forming on my face in trepidation. I tried for a month to survive with my own power. But the environment was too harsh, I needed power, and soon my need to survive overwhelmed my morals. Nobody is blaming you, Hestia smiled, an honest smile that said, I know you are still you. I know if you had any other option you would have taken it. All right, now that I know time has not moved at all since I left, can someone lead me to the exit? I have a demigod to kill. Luke had at one point my pity, not anymore. I was going to kill that little shit. We can't let you leave, Hades sighed. The little bastard played his cards. And told Zeus you were in an alliance with Kronos. The god's hand curled into a fist, anger radiating from him. And they believe him? I asked, this had to be a bad joke. Yes, Hestia nodded, her gaze lost as if looking right through me. Luke somehow found a way to lie to Apollo, and they all believed him. Don't worry though. Hestia cursed him for good. Persephone muttered angrily, if it were up to me, I would have the little shit down here, strapped to a table, making him scream. I know that wasn't supposed to sound sexual, but... I snorted, getting a few playful punches in the arm by both Persephone and Hades. All right. I get it, so I'm a fugitive, well, at least until my name is cleared. Yes, Hades nodded, for now, it's best to save your time to find a way to prove he's a traitor. Me? I asked, bursting into a fit of laughter. I will not do such a thing, why would I? If Zeus was that stupid to let someone lie to him so easily, he was asking to be killed, I will let them figure that out themselves. As for me, I will either stay here if I'm still welcomed, or I will go visit Odin. I see, Hades nodded, I understand your rage. The sense of betrayal by your own kin, your brother, and your sister, I understand it, so I will support your decision. But Hades... Persephone began, but Hades cut her abruptly. But what? The only thing he will get is hate from others, knives of his back, looks for his own family. And only because he was doing his job. Zeus will never be happy with what he does, and nothing he does will ever be enough for those bastards. No matter what we do, we will never be accepted by them, because we are not treacherous snakes, so why even try? Hades was crying. Oh. Honey, Persephone hugged him. I'm sorry, I might have projected some of my problems in there. Hades smiled. The point is, he is free to make his decision, and we should all support it. Yes, we should, Hestia nodded, giving me a fierce hug. Good, how much I missed her hugs, her smell, her smile. I couldn't believe how much I missed Hades and his sense of humor, or Persephone and her antics, but we should still do something about Kronos. Relax, I winked at them. Luke will have to reveal himself as a traitor if he wants to actively start helping Kronos, so, when the time comes, I will kill him. That much was a promise to myself. Luke would die, screaming like a bitch. The moment his daddy issues brought into this, was the day he offered his life to me. This marks the end of part 11 of the story Percy Jackson, the God of Magic. Thank you for listening. Please like the video and hit the subscribe button to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.